No phone, no matches, no modern tools, just me and medieval survival techniques for 24 hours. If I can't figure out how to make fire like a medieval peasant, I freeze. If I can't find food using ancient methods, I starve. This is about to get real. I'm Michael, and I just made the craziest bet of my life. For the next 24 hours, I'm living exactly like a medieval person. No cheating, no modern conveniences, just pure medieval survival. Stick around because the fire starting method from the 1200s almost broke me. The rules and stakes. Here are the rules I set for this challenge. I can only use tools and techniques that existed before 1500 AD. That means no lighters, no matches, no Swiss Army knife, not even a modern water bottle. I've got hand-forged metal tools that replicate medieval designs, clothing made from wool and linen, and absolutely no safety net except my cameraman who's forbidden from helping unless I'm literally dying. The location is 40 acres of woodland that I've scouted beforehand. There's a stream for water, plenty of wood for building, and supposedly edible plants if I can identify them correctly. The stakes? If I succeed, I prove these medieval techniques actually work. If I fail, I spend a miserable cold night and probably get really hungry. Let's do this. Hour 1-3, building shelter like it's 1347. My first priority is shelter. Medieval peasants who got caught outside overnight needed to build emergency shelters fast, and I'm about to find out if their techniques actually work. I'm building a debris hut, the same design Anglo-Saxon and medieval European people used. First, I need a long ridge pole. I find a fallen branch about 8 feet long and lean it against a tree at about a 30-degree angle. Then comes the hard part, gathering materials. Medieval people would use whatever was available. Branches, leaves, grass, ferns, anything that insulates. I spend the next hour collecting armfuls of debris and piling it onto my frame. Here's what medieval survival manuals don't tell you. This is exhausting. I'm sweating through my wool tunic. My hands are covered in scratches, and I've only got about half the insulation I need. Medieval people must have had insane stamina, because I'm already tired and it's only been 2 hours. But slowly, the shelter takes shape. I weave smaller sticks into the framework to hold everything in place, then pile on more leaves and grass until the walls are about 2 feet thick. The entrance is small, just big enough to crawl through, which medieval sources say helps retain body heat. Testing time. I crawl inside and it's actually warmer. Not warm, but noticeably less cold than outside. The wind is completely blocked. If this works overnight, medieval people knew what they were doing. Hour 3-6, the fire struggle. Now comes the moment of truth. Making fire without matches or a lighter. I'm using the bow drill method, which was common across medieval Europe and goes back even further. I carved my fire-making kit earlier using period-accurate tools. A wooden bow, a spindle, a fireboard with a notch, and a bearing block. The theory is simple. Friction creates heat. Heat creates an ember. Ember lights tinder. The reality? This is brutally hard. I wrap the bowstring around the spindle, place the spindle in the notch on the fireboard, and start sawing back and forth. My technique is sloppy at first. The spindle keeps popping out. The bowstring is too loose. My downward pressure isn't consistent. 30 minutes in, my arm is burning, and I've got nothing but a small pile of sawdust. Medieval people made this look easy in my research, but they also did this regularly. I'm a modern person trying to resurrect a dead skill. Hour 4, and I'm starting to get smoke. Real, consistent smoke. The sawdust in the notch is turning dark. My arms feel like they're going to fall off, but I keep going. More smoke. The friction point is getting hotter. Then I see it. A tiny glowing ember forms in the pile of dust. I carefully tap it into my tinder bundle of dry grass and inner bark. This is the critical moment. I cup the bundle in my hands and blow gently, adding oxygen to feed the ember. The smoke gets thicker. I blow more. The ember grows. And then, flames! Actual fire springs to life in my hands. I quickly transfer it to my prepared fire pit and add small sticks. I've got fire. It took me nearly 2 hours, but I did it with medieval technology. The relief is overwhelming. Fire means warmth, safety, and the ability to purify water. Hour 6-9. Water and food crisis. With fire secured, I need water. There's a stream about 200 yards from my camp, But medieval wisdom says, never drink directly from streams. You'll get sick. Medieval people boiled water or used it to make ale, which was safer because the brewing process killed bacteria. I don't have time to make ale, so I'm boiling water the medieval way. Here's the problem. I don't have a metal pot. Medieval peasants often didn't either, so I'm using the hot rock method. I fill a wooden bowl, which I carved earlier, with water, then heat stones in my fire until they're scorching hot. Using wooden tongs, I transfer the hot rocks into the water. They hiss and steam, and the water temperature rises dramatically. After rotating through about 10 rocks, the water is boiling. I let it cool and take my first drink. It tastes like wood smoke, but it's safe. Food is harder. I'm not skilled enough to set snares for rabbits, and I definitely can't catch fish with my bare hands like some medieval accounts claim. So I'm relying on foraged plants. I find dandelions. The leaves are edible and actually pretty nutritious. I also identify wood sorrel, which has a tangy taste, and cattail roots from near the stream, which medieval people called nature's supermarket. I roast the sea, tail roots in the coals of my fire. They're starchy and bland but filling. The dandelion greens are bitter but edible. This isn't a feast, but it's calories, and that's what matters. By hour 9, I've eaten maybe 500 calories of foraged plants. Medieval peasants survived on this kind of diet regularly, supplemented by whatever grain porridge they could afford. I'm gaining serious respect for how tough they were. Hour 9 to 15, the long cold night. As darkness falls, the temperature drops fast. I've got my fire, my shelter, and my meager food supply. Now I just need to survive the night. Medieval people went to bed when the sun set because candles were expensive and fire was dangerous indoors. I'm experiencing why. Without electric lights, the darkness is absolute. My fire provides a small circle of light, but beyond that, the forest is pitch black. I keep the fire going by adding wood every hour. This is exhausting because I have to crawl out of my shelter, add wood, and crawl back in. Medieval people who slept outdoors had to do this all night to avoid freezing. The shelter is working though. Inside my debris hut with the entrance partially blocked, my body heat is actually warming the small space. It's not comfortable. I'm lying on a bed of leaves and grass, my wool cloak wrapped around me, but I'm not freezing. Sleep comes in fits and starts. Every sound in the forest makes me jump. Medieval people believed in all sorts of creatures lurking in the dark, and now I understand why. When you're alone in the wilderness with no modern technology, every snapping twig sounds like something approaching. Around 2 a.m., I wake up shivering. The fire has burned low. I force myself out to add more wood, and the cold night air is shocking after the relative warmth of the shelter. I build up the fire, warm myself for a few minutes, then crawl back into my hut. The rest of the night passes slowly. I drift in and out of sleep, always aware of the cold, the hardness of the ground, and the constant need to maintain the fire. Hour 15:20, morning survival routine. Dawn is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I survived the night using only medieval techniques. My body is stiff and sore. My hands are cut and dirty. I'm hungry, thirsty, and exhausted. But I'm alive, I'm warm, and I've got the skills to continue. Medieval people started their day early because there was work to do and no time to waste. I understand now. When you're living this lifestyle, every task takes 10 times longer than it does with modern tools. I restart my fire properly, boil more water, and forage for breakfast. More dandelion greens, more cattail roots. I find some wild garlic, which adds actual flavor. It's still not much, but my body is grateful for the calories. I spend the morning improving my camp. I weave a simple basket from green branches using techniques from medieval craft guilds. It's crude, but it holds water and can carry foraged food. I repair my shelter, adding more insulation where wind got through during the night. This is what medieval life was really like. Constant maintenance, constant work, constant awareness of your environment. There's no scrolling through your phone, no checking emails. Just survival tasks and the occasional moment to rest. Hour 2024, the final push and reflection. As the challenge enters its final hours, I'm reflecting on what I've learned. Medieval people weren't primitive or stupid. They were incredibly skilled at reading their environment and using available resources. The techniques I used, friction fire, debris shelters, water purification, plant identification. These were refined over thousands of years. They work because they're based on solid principles of physics, biology, and environmental science. But I also understand why we moved away from this lifestyle. It's hard. Every single task requires manual labor, skill, and time. Getting water takes an hour, King fire takes 2 hours. Building shelter takes half a day. Finding food is a constant challenge. Medieval people did this while also working lord's fields, maintaining homes, raising children, and dealing with disease, injury, and war. The fact that they survived and even thrived shows incredible resilience. As hour 24 approaches, I break down my camp, properly extinguish my fire, and scatter the debris from my shelter so the forest returns to normal. I pack up my medieval tools, change out of my wool clothing, and rejoin the modern world. The first thing I do, drink cold water from a plastic bottle. The second, check my phone. The third, order pizza because I've earned it. What this challenge taught me. This challenge showed me that medieval survival techniques actually work. They're not just historical curiosities. They're proven methods that kept humans alive for millennia. But it also showed me why modern technology is such a blessing. The convenience we take for granted, instant fire from a lighter, clean water from a tap, food from a refrigerator, these are luxuries that medieval people could never imagine. I survived 24 hours using medieval methods, but could I survive 24 days, 24 months, 24 years? Medieval people did exactly that, and it puts their toughness in perspective. The skills I learned, fire making, shelter building, plant identification, water purification, these are valuable even today. In an emergency, knowing how to create fire without matches or build shelter without modern tools could save your life. Medieval survival techniques work, but they're incredibly labor-intensive. I spent 24 hours getting a tiny glimpse into how hard life was before modern technology. My respect for medieval people has increased dramatically. They lived this way their entire lives and still managed to build cathedrals, create art, and advance human civilization. If you wanted to see more insane survival challenges, hit that subscribe button. Should I try Roman survival techniques next? Viking methods? Stone Age living? Let me know in the comments what extreme historical challenge I should attempt. And if you think you could do better than me, tell me how in the comments. I'd love to hear your survival stories. Hours in medieval mode taught me that our ancestors were absolute warriors. Thanks for coming on this journey with me. Stay wild,